Hi, morning all. Sorry, I forgot my chain. I would like to thank David for introing me and thank Rework as well for letting me participate. Yeah, I just want to check, is everyone okay with lip reading? Because as you can tell, my voice is slightly gone and it's just recovering, so I might be a little bit hoarse on occasion. So today I want to get people more involved. I want people to feel empowered, and I want people to feel that they are taking away more an understanding of what they can do with 3D printing and what a community like 3D Hubs can enable. So I think this is the clicker. So let's get to know each other a little bit better. So I am the 3D Hubs Mayor of London, but sorry about this level of noise as well. But I also run a design and engineering consultancy, which I co-founded with Chris Burbick and Clayton Palmer. And we got into 3D printing about 9 years ago. So I'm talking today about accessibility. So I want to talk about my own accessibility into 3D printing. Well, that was a bit of a challenge. In 2009, we had to go through certain levels of bureaucracy to actually get to, it's ironic, because actually to access a 3D printer had to go right up to the high levels to come back down for us to get time on the machine. So what was termed rapid prototyping actually meant a long time before we were actually able to use the printer, which is good in a sense because it teaches you important things in design and engineering, but we really wanted to see physical things in our hands relatively quickly, and that I'll speak more about. So can I get a bit of audience participation? Who's used a 3D printer? Hey, that's good lot of you. Who has actually owned one or has one in their office? There's less of you, and that's what I thought. I'm now going to talk a bit about 3D Hubs, because that's given me a bit of a gist of what the audience is like. So 3D Hubs is a network of people who have printers. So it's giving people who want to print something the accessibility to do it. So around the world, they have, I think Andy was telling me earlier that the co-founder said that they've got more printers in more locations than they have McDonald's is present. So basically, if you have an idea, you can go into the network and have the ability to print it. So the community, that is to me, the most important part of what 3D Hubs is doing. There's all these people who have 3D printers who are able to print stuff for you. But what's most important about them is they're not just people who can operate a 3D printer. They are in fact photographers, makers, designers, engineers, shop owners, and 3D modelers. So there's a massive capability there within this network that you can tap into should you want to make something. So at the moment, I mean, these figures are a little bit old, but there are 22,500 plus printing locations in 160 countries, which is pretty cool. And I'm going to show you later on why this is so important and what this network can actually help you do. So this is our London location. I think from this morning there's about 254 printers listed in the London community. So I'll tell you, go a bit more back to what the mayor role does, is that we bring people together for events. And we talk about best practices and challenges that we face within 3D printing, but also the cool stuff that we're making. So an important part is for people to show their innovation in order to build on top of it. And I'm sure conversations today and yesterday and today were about kind of collaborating and exchange of knowledge. So that's what bringing community together is really important for. Right, so this is the most important part. This is my community. And yesterday they were out on the floor, they were scanning people, using Periscope even to show you what they're up to. As you can see, Andy, Ian, Wojtek some of them that are in the room today. But what's great is that, I mean, Ian here is showing a great example. Is someone comes to an event with a challenge, they say, you know, I've got a bit of a problem with my printer. The community can deliver the person the answers. There's never, it's basically like a real-time FAQ. So if anyone's got a problem, the community's there to answer it for them, and no question's too stupid. So I don't know, I got an idea of how many of you interacted with 3D printing before, but I'm going to go into each of the processes in a bit more detail. These are the most common ones, which are FFF, SLS, and SLA, and these will be the most accessible for you. FFF, or FDM, which is, Chris, you were right, it was Stratasys who has the patent on that, but the FFF is where you're taking filament and you're heating it and laying it in layers. So FFF primarily uses heat. There's an expanding range of materials, and it's great for something that you want. It's quick, and it's basically the cheapest and most accessible 3D printing available. And then we look at other technologies like SLS, where you get higher resolution prints, but it's more expensive, and it's better for doing more intricate detail. And SLA the same, but and both of these are using light rather than heat in order to cure the material and make the 3D object. So one of the challenges we have when we have a hub is that we get lots of people requesting certain things to be made, but some of them might not be the most effective way to make them on the 3D printers that we have. Therefore, with the network, we can suggest who would have the right type of printer for them to use, whether 3D printing even is the right solution to their problem. So now I'm going to talk a little bit more about how you can access 3D printing at home. So I've given you the way, I've shown you the locations, I've shown you the sort of printers that you can engage with. I'm now going to give you some ideas about what you can design. So 3D print at home. So this is looking at repair. So this pen here cost in the hundreds of pounds. And for the gentleman that I've got a laser apparently somewhere. I don't know where it is. Here we go. So this element is the bit that's been 3D printed. So a friend of ours came to us and said, I've got this really expensive pen. I've got this component, it's locked, and I can't use it unless I get this element fixed. So we said, oh, we can 3D print you that. So there, in real time, there was a solution. He was able to use the pen, and he didn't have to buy a whole new pen, which would have just been terrible waste. So it also gives you the ability to have on-demand flexibility. This works, I'm going to talk a bit more about the business applications for 3D printing as well, but this works both in the home and in business. Awesome. So the fact is a 3D printed part, you can make something to fit it's bespoke, it's on demand. You can have something that, like if your curtain rail drops down, you can make the component that works for that. 3D print in business. So it means that 3D printing and the network allow you to 3D print anywhere. So now they're making the 0G printer where you can even print in space. So the location-wise, you can basically 3D print anywhere. We 3D print in a relatively clean office. We'd have had to have a workshop or something should we be using any other sort of manufacturing techniques. So it's a very easy way to make something in any location. Then there's this communication element to it. So I'm really interested in this because it means that, like, should you be trying to make something in China or the other side of the world, it's very difficult to get that kind of tangible aspect to a conversation. Whereas now with 3D printing, you can send a file that you have here and send it over to another location, and you're both talking the same language. You've both got the same things in your hand. Then there's where it comes to medicine, and you're going to hear a little bit about that later from Andy Elmo and some others. But it's reducing the barrier to innovation massively. I mean, we all know that there's a lot of hurdles that you have to get over to get a new product into healthcare. And what 3D printing does, and what this suturing device, which I'm showing here, does, is it's benefited from 3D printing by shortening timescales and shortening reducing costs. Right, I am at my time is up, so I'm going to rush through the next couple quite quickly. But it also has scope for short to medium run and for prototype level manufacturer. So that's another opportunity. This quickly is really important, is that we need to really preserve these communities that we have, because at the moment they're being presented as this greater orbit by press, by media, and by the platforms that embodying us. But actually, we are still at a teenage state. We're still slightly rebellious. The technology is rebellious. And it does mean that we end up having, late nights, early mornings, trying to solve a lot of problems. So what I'm looking towards is a solid, unified core where press, where academia, where OEMs and the 3D printing platforms are all coming together and unifying into one solid community that's being presented in the way that it should be presented. So I go back to my community and I say, should you want to print, the best way to do it is to go to 3D hubs, place an order, and start a conversation with one of these people, one of these unique people that are in my community. So yeah, here's some contact and resources. But thank you very much, and now I'll open the floor to questions.
Thank you very much,
and pass
Charlotte.
back to David.